The world watched with bated breath. Just days ago, the Indian subcontinent was again on the brink. Fighter jets screamed across skies. Artillery shells thundered across the line of control. This was the May 2025 clash between India and Pakistan. It was short, it was sharp, and it was dangerous. Global powers urged restraint. The United Nations called for an immediate cessation of hostilities. The fear of escalation was palpable, a chilling reminder of the nuclear capabilities both nations possess. Diplomatic channels buzzed with frantic activity, desperate to pull the region back from a wider conflict. The intense fighting, though brief, has now paused. A ceasefire brokered by the United States holds precariously, but the questions have only just begun. What was the true cost of this latest confrontation? Reports of significant military losses are swirling. These claims, particularly from Pakistan, paint a concerning picture for India. Are these reports credible, or are they part of a sophisticated propaganda war? The fog of war is thick. Disentangling truth from misinformation is the immediate challenge for observers worldwide. Understanding the events of early May 2025 is crucial for regional stability. The international community is now focused on ensuring this ceasefire transforms into a lasting calm. What exactly triggered this latest round of hostilities in May 2025? The official narrative from New Delhi points to preemptive action. India stated its operation targeted militant launch pads. These were allegedly preparing for imminent cross-border attacks. This justification is familiar in the long history of Indo-Pak conflict. The operation involved surgical strikes according to Indian military sources. Air power and special forces were reportedly used. The goal was to neutralize threats swiftly and effectively, minimizing collateral damage. However, the situation escalated rapidly, far beyond initial projections. Pakistan's response was swift and robust. It denied India's claims of targeting militant infrastructure. Instead, Islamabad framed India's actions as unprovoked aggression. It accused India of violating its sovereignty. The Pakistan Air Force was scrambled. Ground troops engaged Indian forces along the line of control. What began as a limited Indian operation quickly spiraled. It became a dangerous exchange of fire, threatening a wider war. The international community watched, alarmed by the speed of escalation. The theater of conflict was primarily along the line of control. The peace, therefore, feels fragile, almost temporary. The Dassault Rafale. It is India's premier multi-role fighter jet, a symbol of the Indian Air Force's modernization and prowess. These jets were inducted with much fanfare. They represent a significant technological edge for India, or so it was believed. During the May 2025 clashes, Pakistan made startling claims. It asserted that its Air Force had shot down multiple Indian Rafale jets. These assertions immediately grabbed global headlines, raising serious questions about India's air superiority. The claims were bold, specific, and deeply concerning for New Delhi. Pakistani military spokespersons were quick to announce their alleged successes. They claimed downing at least 2, some reports suggested even 3 Rafales. Specifics were offered regarding the engagements. The types of Pakistani aircraft involved were mentioned. Even the general locations where the Indian jets were supposedly downed were indicated. These claims were disseminated rapidly through official channels and social media. They aimed to project an image of Pakistani military superiority, and, perhaps more importantly, to dent Indian morale and its Air Force's formidable reputation. The news sent shockwaves through defense circles worldwide. The international reaction was one of caution mixed with intrigue. The world waited for more concrete information to emerge from the battlefield. Verifying claims of downed aircraft in a conflict zone is notoriously difficult. India flatly rejected any loss of its Rafale fleet. The Indian Air Force stated all its assets were safe. This denial was firm and unequivocal. New Delhi accused Islamabad of spreading disinformation. It was termed an attempt to score psychological points. The Indian government urged the international community to dismiss these claims. They emphasized Pakistan's history of making exaggerated assertions during conflicts. This stance aimed to reassure the Indian public and maintain the IAF's prestige. Pakistan, on the other hand, doubled down on its assertions. Some Pakistani media outlets showed alleged wreckage. They claimed it belonged to a downed Indian Rafale. However, independent verification of this evidence proved problematic. The wreckage shown was not conclusively identifiable as a Rafale. International defense analysts pointed out inconsistencies. They noted the lack of clear, verifiable imagery or serial numbers. The evidence presented was deemed insufficient by many neutral observers. The truth remains contested. caught in a web of claims and counterclaims. Section 5. The S-400 question. A shield breached? India's S-400 Triumph air defense system. It is considered one of the most advanced in the world. Procured from Russia, it provides a long-range protective shield. This shield is designed against enemy aircraft, drones, and missiles. The deployment of the S-400 was a game-changer for India's defense capabilities. It significantly enhanced its ability to protect critical assets. The system's radar can track multiple targets at great distances. Its missiles can engage threats hundreds of kilometers away. It was seen as a near-impenetrable defense by many military strategists. Then came the May 2025 conflict, and with it, even more audacious claims from Pakistan. Pakistani military sources alleged they had successfully targeted an Indian S-400 battery. Some reports claimed a component was damaged. Others suggested an entire unit was neutralized. If true, this would be a monumental blow to India's strategic defense posture. It would mean that Pakistan possesses the capability to breach India's most sophisticated air defense. The implications of such a feat would be far-reaching, altering the military balance in the region. The strategic importance of the S-400 cannot be overstated. India invested billions in acquiring this system. Section 6. The S-400 controversy. Murky waters and missing proof. India's response to the S-400 claims was swift and categorical. New Delhi vehemently denied any damage to its air defense systems. Officials labeled the Pakistani assertions as pure fantasy. They called it a desperate attempt to fabricate a victory. The Indian military stated that all its S-400 units were operational. They were fully capable of defending Indian airspace. This strong denial aimed to counter Pakistan's narrative. It also sought to reassure the Indian public and the international community. The message was clear: India's strategic shield remains intact and unbreached. Despite Pakistan's bold claims, concrete evidence has been conspicuously absent. No verifiable satellite imagery has emerged. No independent sources have confirmed any damage to an S-400 site. The information released by Pakistan has been vague. It lacked specific details about the location or extent of the alleged damage. This lack of proof has led many analysts to be highly skeptical. Destroying or even damaging an S-400 battery is a complex undertaking. It is not something that can be easily hidden or go unnoticed by global intelligence agencies. The credibility of one of its flagship defense products was at stake. Section 7. Beyond jets and missiles. Other reported damages. The focus has largely been on Rafales and the S-400, but the May 2025 conflict likely saw other losses too. Reports surfaced about unmanned aerial vehicles, or UAVs, being down. Both sides claimed to have shot down enemy UAVs. There were also claims regarding damage to airbase infrastructure. Even minor damage can disrupt operations. Assessing the true extent of such damage is challenging. The fog of war obscures much of what happens. Section 8. The fog of war, propaganda and perception. In any armed conflict, truth is often the first casualty. The May 2025 India-Pakistan clash was no exception. Information warfare played a crucial, perhaps decisive role. Both nations engaged in a sophisticated battle of narratives. They sought to control how the conflict was perceived. This was true both domestically and internationally. Official military briefings, media reports, and social media campaigns, all were weaponized to shape public opinion. The goal was to project strength, justify actions, and demoralize the enemy. Each side presented its version of events. India highlighted its preemptive strikes against militant threats. It emphasized its resolve to protect national security. Pakistan portrayed itself as the victim of unprovoked aggression. It showcased its military's capability to defend its sovereignty. Casualty figures and equipment losses were hotly disputed. Pakistan claimed significant Indian losses, including Rafales and S-400 components. India denied these claims and reported successes against Pakistani targets. These competing narratives created a confusing picture for the outside world. The battle for perception continues long after the guns fall silent. Aftermath of the ceasefire, geopolitical tremors and lingering doubts. The U.S. brokered ceasefire halted active fighting, but the line of control remains fragile. Tensions are still dangerously high. This ceasefire is a pause, not lasting peace. The conflict's causes remain unaddressed. Both nations assess the strategic fallout. Reported losses carry significant weight. the region hopes this pause endures.